Well, hi there. This is Mitch Schneider, and welcome to my world, Mitch Schneider's world. And I thought I'd go ahead and since I didn't win the lottery, I thought I'd go ahead and give you a more personal explanation of the two blog posts, most recent blog posts I put on my site, and also on the Advanced Star Workshop searchautoparts.com site as well, because I think it's important that you understand what I'm writing about here. I think it can make a difference, and I think that's really important to all of us. And to tell you the truth, had I won the lottery, probably would be doing the same thing regardless, because that's just how important I think it is. As I said a moment ago, I just posted two blogs, really, over the last week or so, about something that's critically important to all of us, and that's the economy, the lingering recession that we're all sort of muddling through, and the on-again, off-again recovery. That's been a lot of different things, most of which aren't much fun. The idea came out of something that we're trying to do here at the shop, which is interesting enough. We're trying to go ahead and we were trying to find some new and compelling marketing program to get involved with as the new year begins. And that's pretty difficult to do after you've been in a place for 33 years, and new and different is not always the easiest thing in the world to come up with. So we started looking through everything that we had done before and everything that we were thinking about doing in the future. And when I got to warranty, I stopped for a moment and took a long, hard look at that, because that always seems like something that you might be able to at least custom fit and make work for you, depending on how you want to implement or execute it. And it's not all that easy to do, really, when you've got a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty to begin with. And looking at a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, you've got to figure out what the cost-benefit analysis is and whether or not you can make that work as well. The thing that was really interesting, frankly, was at about the time I was doing that, which was about the early part of September, I happened to come across a podcast that was that I heard on NPR that was authored and presented by Robert Reich, the famous economist and author, the Secretary of Labor under Clinton, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I found that really kind of fascinating because the title of the podcast was "Who's Got the Right Plan to Boost the Economy?" And what Reich was saying that was so fascinating to me, at least, was that nobody had a plan to boost the economy, that the Democrats were still tied to Keynesian economics, which are the economics of stimulus, getting the economy pump started, and then letting the normal economic market conditions take over. And the Republicans were still tied to Reagan supply-side economics, which really is all about giving tax cuts and tax breaks to free up money in the economy, and also tax breaks to the very wealthy. And the point that Reich was trying to make was that this was neither a Keynesian economics problem, nor was it a supply-side economics problem. It was a demand-side economics problem. And, something that Henry Ford realized as he started the Ford Motor Company years ago, and that's that if you paid workers enough money to be able to afford the product that you made, then they would buy it, and ultimately it would mean success for you. So it was the first real example of somebody recognizing that paying factory workers, manufacturing workers, a living wage was beneficial to the economy in general. And Reich was saying that until we go ahead and get the economy fixed, and we return high-paying manufacturing jobs to the economy and bring manufacturing home, we were going to have a problem, because this is a demand-side economic problem. Then I started to think about warranty, and I started to think about what Reich said, and I started to think about what everybody was talking about when they were talking about how broken the economy was. And some really strange things started to happen. I started to think to myself, well, I may not be a world-class economist, but I'm really not a world-class automotive engineer either. And I've had a pretty successful career of working on vehicles and diagnosing them and fixing them and maintaining them. despite the fact that it's not altogether likely that I could actually design and build one, although I'm not sure I couldn't. But I do have a pretty good record of being a diagnostician, and if you look at hard enough and long enough at a problem, you can usually figure out what the root cause is. And I started to look at this problem because anytime somebody starts to talk to me about something that's broken, I try and figure out how to fix it. It's a genetic flaw, evidently, that's been running through my family for about 4 generations. And I came up with this really strange idea, and that was the basis of the 2 blog posts that I wrote. One was called On Purpose, and it was written about finding a purpose, and finding a purpose that's compelling enough that it draws you into doing things that you would not necessarily either think about doing or choose to do under any other conditions. And the other one was Made in America, which is the most recent post, which explained this idea in writing. But I thought it would probably be a little bit more personal if I took a moment to explain it to you personally. And the idea is really quite simple, and that is that if we were able to convince a number of the manufacturers in our industry, aftermarket manufacturers, names that we recognize and have supported for 100 years, that we're serious about bringing American manufacturing jobs home, then perhaps we could do it. And this is how I think we can. I think that if the manufacturers were to go ahead and see if there was any way that they could go ahead and reduce the cost for those American-made products that they're still building here in the United States, half a point, whatever they can do. And if the supply side of our industry, the distribution partners that we all have, were to find themselves able to match that half a point and a half, then we could support that effort by purchasing those parts, taking a little bit less margin ourselves, and matching or coming as close as we can to matching whatever allowances they were able or willing to share with us. And then share those with the motoring public and say, hey, listen, this is a part that's made in the United States. The manufacturer discounted it. The warehouse that made it available to me discounted it. I'm discounting it to you. And I'm so sure that this part is superior in workmanship, quality, and design. I'm willing to go ahead and warrant it for an extra 12,000 miles or 12 months. In other words, I am willing to go ahead and warrant it for 36,000 miles or 36 months. And I think that if we were able to do that, I think that we would have a very compelling story to tell the American motoring public, because I don't think there's anybody who really believes that given the opportunity to compete and the tools and the equipment necessary to compete, that American factory workers are incapable, unable, or unwilling to do exactly that. And I really don't want to believe that American manufacturing companies have no desire to bring American manufacturing jobs home, as long as they're capable of making the same profit on the parts and the same sales, keep their numbers up on the same SKUs. So that's basically my suggestion. And that's what I was trying to go ahead and explain in Made in America, which you can find either on the searchautoparts.com site for Advanced Star, or on my own site, mitchschneidersworld.com. Now, I'd really like to know if this is a viable idea. I'd really like to know if this idea makes sense. I'm not suggesting it's the only idea, nor am I suggesting that it's the best idea. But what I am suggesting is that it's a place to start a discussion, a dialogue. And I'd really like to know what you think, because this is all about numbers, quite frankly. It's all about people's willingness to get involved and to make a sacrifice and to seriously consider whatever has to be done to bring more and more manufacturing jobs back to the shores of the United States. And I think that when we're talking about this, it's important to remind ourselves that the delta, the price differential between parts that are manufactured offshore, especially hard parts, and parts that are manufactured here in the United States is shrinking anyway because of the cost of shipping, because of the cost of fossil fuels. and getting them across the ocean, either by air or by sea. So I think all of those things are kind of important for us to recognize. So if you think that there's any merit to this idea, or if you think that it makes sense to you, I'd like you to pass it along. I'd like you to share it with whoever you think you can share it with. They'll be able to embrace it. I think it's a compelling idea, and I'd like to see a discussion about whether or not it's viable to start. So you can reach me at Mitch at MitchSchneidersWorld.com, or you can reach me at Mitch S at SchneidersAuto.net. I'm available at either. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it, regardless of who you are. If you're a manufacturer and you happen to catch this video, then please let me know. If you're in one of our warehouse supply side partners, email me. Let me know what you think. If you're an automotive repair shop owner and you think this idea has merit, call me and let me know. If you don't think it has merit, if you'd like to challenge the idea, beyond just saying that you don't think it'll work, I'd like you to have some reasons why you don't think it'll work, beyond saying somebody won't do it, because I'm sure that we'll find at least one manufacturing partner that would be willing to do it. At least I hope so. And if that's the case, then I think we all ought to support that manufacturing partner and run with it, because I think once people see this new wave of interest and desire to buy American and to support American factory workers, who will in turn spend their money on products that are made here in the United States, which will in turn create more jobs and start the economy going the way Reich suggested it would, and who's got the right plan to boost the economy, then I think we've got something to talk about. So until that time, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate it. Stay well. Take care. Make money. Have fun. Don't do business with anybody you don't like. There's probably a damn good reason you don't like them. And quite frankly, I would suggest to you that you don't need to find out what that reason is. This is Mitch Schneider, Mitch Schneider's World, signing off. Thank you and good night.